everyone, ready for a deep dive into something really interesting. We often talk about hidden depths, and today we're looking at a horse race that's about way more than just crossing the finish line first.
It really makes you think, how can something as simple as a race become a metaphor for life?
Right, and that's exactly what we're going to uncover today. We're looking at some excerpts from a chapter called The Race, along with some analysis that really digs into the symbolism and meaning woven throughout the story.
It's amazing how much richness and depth can be packed into a single chapter, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So to set the scene, imagine this. It's race day. We're talking dusty country road, hand-painted signs strung up everywhere, that kind of charming small-town vibe. You can practically hear the crowd getting excited, the anticipation building.
The author really knows how to draw you in, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure. You feel like you're right there in the thick of it. Okay, so amidst all the excitement, we're introduced to our two main players. First up, we've got 17-year-old Manjiro.
Our main character who's still adjusting to life in America.
Exactly. He's already dealing with a huge life change, and on top of that, he's trying to find his place in a whole new culture.
Talk about a lot to process.
No kidding. And he's riding this horse, Duffy. From the description, Duffy sounds like the most loyal, dependable horse you could ask for, but not exactly built for speed.
And that's a really important detail to notice because it speaks to a certain kind of strength, doesn't it? Duffy embodies that quiet perseverance, that inner reliability that's so crucial but often overlooked. He represents something deeper than just outward power.
I see what you mean. It's like Duffy represents that steady inner strength we all need, especially when we're facing big changes or challenges. Then on the other side of the spectrum, we have Tom, the school bully, riding this super impressive horse named Lightning. Even just their names suggest the kind of clash we're in for, wouldn't you say?
It's almost too perfect. But that's the brilliance of it. The horses become more than just animals. They become these powerful symbols. Lightning, with his speed and dominance, embodies that outward show of force that Tom seems to crave. It's like the horse is an extension of his need for control.
That's a great point. So we've got Duffy representing this inner strength and resilience, and Lightning all about outward power and dominance. It definitely sets the stage for a pretty charged atmosphere, even before the race begins.
And we have to remember, there's more going on here than just a physical race. As Manjiro's riding, he's also trying to make sense of some huge news from his mentor, Captain Whitfield. This father figure in his life just dropped a bombshell he's going back out to sea. And on top of that, he's arranged an apprenticeship for Manjiro.
Whoa, talk about a lot to handle. It's like he's got this race happening on the track and then this whole other race going on inside of him, a race of emotions and big life decisions.
Exactly. And it's in that tension, that internal struggle, that the idea of the race as a metaphor really takes hold. The physical act of riding becomes intertwined with Manjiro's journey toward independence.
That's such a powerful way to look at it. It's not about who crosses the finish line first. It's about Manjiro figuring out what freedom means to him in this new life.
Precisely. And we're going to see that play out in some really interesting ways as the story unfolds.
It's easy to get caught up in that feeling, isn't it? That rush of possibility, of forging your own path. But like you said, there's always more to the story. And in this case, it sounds like Manjiro's in for a bit of a reality check.
You got it. He's so focused on this newfound sense of freedom, this exhilarating moment of realization, that he completely misses what's happening around him.
Oh, I hate when that happens. You're so in your own head that you miss the bigger picture. So what does he miss? Fill me in.
Picture it. Manjiro crosses that finish line, heart pounding, totally convinced he's won. He's probably letting out a sigh of relief, maybe even starting to celebrate, when he notices something strange. Tom's already off his horse, just standing there by the cheering crowd like it's no big deal.
Oh no, I can see where this is going. That sinking feeling when you realize you've totally misjudged the situation.
It's a classic case of overconfidence, right? And it highlights this really interesting contrast between the two horses, the two approaches to life they represent. Duffy, steady and reliable as always, just couldn't match Lightning's raw speed.
It's a tough lesson, but an important one. Sometimes that steady, persistent effort isn't enough to snag the win. So how does Manjiro handle this unexpected loss?
Well, Tom's obviously thrilled, soaking up his victory. But just when we think we've got these characters all figured out, the story throws us a major curveball. This really intense scene unfolds, and it completely changes our understanding of Tom.
Ooh, I'm always up for a good plot twist. Give me the details. What happens?
So Tom's father suddenly pushes through the crowd, and he does not look happy.
Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good. You can practically feel the mood shift, can't you? Like a record scratch across the happy celebration.
Right, it goes from excitement and congratulations to this heavy, uncomfortable silence. Tom's father is fuming, and he starts yelling at Tom right there in front of everyone.
Oh, man, that's rough. To be humiliated like that, especially after what should be a moment of triumph, it's gotta sting.
It's brutal, and it just keeps getting worse. Tom's father accuses him of taking Lightning without permission, and then he starts ranting about how Tom's always causing trouble, how he's a disappointment.
Wow, talk about adding insult to injury. It's bad enough to get called out in front of everyone, but to have your own parent tear you down like that, it's heartbreaking. Does Tom try to defend himself?
He tries, but it's no use. His father's so angry, he's completely lost control. And then, the unthinkable happens. Tom's father lashes out and hits him right there in front of the entire town.
Wow, that's heavy stuff. It completely changes the whole dynamic, doesn't it? Tom might be a bully, but in that moment, he becomes the victim, and you can't help but feel a wave of sympathy for him.
Exactly. It really humanizes him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We see that his need to dominate, to control, it might stem from this deep-seated insecurity and pain.
It reminds us that we never really know what's going on in someone else's life. Their actions, even the ones that seem cruel or hurtful, might be a reaction to something we can't even begin to imagine.
And that's a powerful message, isn't it? To approach others with a little more understanding, a little more grace, because you never know what battles they might be fighting beneath the surface.
It really makes you rethink how you view people, doesn't it? You see this kid acting out, trying to exert his dominance, and you think you have him all figured out, but then you get this glimpse into his home life, this really painful moment of vulnerability, and it completely changes your perspective.
It's a good reminder that there's always more to the story than meets the eye. But here's where the story takes an even more interesting turn. Despite everything that's happened, the trash talk, the bullying, witnessing this horrible confrontation with his father, Manjiro does something really unexpected.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. What does he do?
He goes and finds Tom, who's sitting alone by the ditch, completely defeated. And instead of rubbing it in, instead of saying, "I told you so," or just walking away, Manjiro offers him a hand up.
Wow, that's surprising, especially after just losing to him. It really shows a different side of him, a depth of empathy and compassion that you might not expect.
Exactly. It really highlights that inner strength that Duffy represents, that quiet resilience. But he doesn't stop there. Manjiro then says something incredibly profound to Tom. He says, "Fall down 7 times, get up 8."
Oh, wow. I got chills. That's such a simple saying, but in that moment, it carries so much weight. It speaks to that universal experience of facing setbacks, of getting knocked down, but finding the strength to get back up and keep going.
It's a message of hope and perseverance. And the fact that it comes from Manjiro, someone who's also navigating his own challenges, makes it even more powerful.
It's like he's saying, hey, I get it. Life throws curveballs, but we can overcome them. We can rise above the challenges.
And let's not forget, this whole scene, this act of compassion and resilience, it's all happening within the context of Manjiro trying to make sense of American culture.
That's a really interesting point. It's like he's processing this experience, this act of bullying and abuse through the lens of his own cultural understanding.
It makes you wonder, what's he thinking? How does this experience shape his understanding of what it means to be American?
Right. And then there's the proverb itself. Fall down 7 times, get up 8. It's a universal message, but it also has specific cultural significance, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a well-known Japanese proverb, deeply rooted in that culture's emphasis on perseverance and resilience.
So he's taking this piece of his own culture, this wisdom that's been passed down through generations, and he's sharing it with Tom in this moment of vulnerability.
It's a beautiful example of cultural exchange, isn't it? And it speaks to the power of these universal truths, these shared human experiences that transcend cultural boundaries.
It's like he's creating a bridge between these two worlds, using this proverb to connect with Tom on a deeper level. And it makes you think about how we can all learn from each other's cultures, how these shared values can bring us together even when things get tough.
It's a powerful reminder that even amidst our differences, there's this common thread of humanity that connects us all. We all face challenges, we all experience setbacks, but it's that ability to get back up, to support each other, that truly makes us human.
This deep dive has really given us a lot to think about. We started with what seemed like a simple horse race, but ended up exploring themes of cultural identity, resilience, compassion, and the complexities of human nature. It's incredible how much depth and meaning can be packed into a single story.
It's a testament to the power of literature, to illuminate these universal truths, to make us think about ourselves and the world around us in new and unexpected ways.
And it reminds us that even in the most ordinary experiences, like a horse race on a dusty country road, there's always more to discover, always more to learn, if we just take the time to look beneath the surface.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the deeper meanings and messages woven throughout this incredible chapter. We'll see you next time for another fascinating deep dive.